And some of these ICE raids are so barbaric and they're so crazy. And these like 19-year-old college students are being deported to Honduras and they've lived there their whole life. Again, it's wrong on its face. Like it shouldn't be happening in the chaotic, insane way that it's happening. You know, when you look at someone, a grandmother, get handcuffed and zip tied and thrown into a car by a bunch of masked psychopaths, not only is that wrong, but if the choice becomes that.
I've said this on other shows and I'll say it again, and it may not be a popular opinion, but no law enforcement should ever be wearing masks. And I understand that on our side of the aisle, we've kind of been told that it's okay because they're being doxxed. And that it's the job that you take, you don't wear a mask. There are a few caveats. If there's an undercover on scene, that has to be protected, 100%. Undercovers, for the most part, shouldn't be involved in any type of police action, right? And once you are a true undercover, like you should not be getting involved in police matters. I mean, with the exception of, let's say you've done a big case, you're about to go to the other side, you're about to stop being an undercover, and you just really want to be there for the raid. That's fine. I would still say probably cover their face. But other than that, you have to be held accountable for as a police officer, as a federal agent. You have to be held accountable. How can you be held accountable if we can't see your face? If you can't look the person in the eye, and if it's to the point where you're being doxxed and there's threats, there's a lot of things, then the department needs to accommodate you accordingly, and either leave of absence. Maybe you should be patrolling or policing an area further away from your home. There's things that can be done. Everybody we have hundreds of thousands of law enforcement agents throughout this country, and this has been figured out before. I know plenty of people that have gotten many threats sent to them. They've been doxxed, things of that nature, and we figured this out. Law enforcement people figure it out. I don't know. I know a lot of people on the right disagree with me. I just totally disagree. I'm totally against law enforcement hiding their faces. That's one thing. Tim, obviously, I love Tim very much. Tim Dillon Show comes out every Saturday. He is fantastic. You guys should be watching him always, like I do. I watch him every single Saturday. He's a little bit, he's a little bit tiffed on the ICE raids. It's not the best. It's a little messy. I think it's messy on purpose. I think it's messy and intentionally messy. I think obviously leftist and liberal run cities are not cooperating with ICE, forcing ICE to then take action that is going to look bad. It's not going to be clean. It's not going to be neat. If these liberal cities were just turning these people over as they were being arrested, there'll be a lot less mess. A lot less mess. But the point is the mess. That's the point of this. The point is to make it messy. The point is to see the grandmothers crying. The point is to see the kids. The point is to see the guy that was putting up drywall 1 minute later and the other minute is inside of a van. That's the point of it. But in the end, they have to do their job. In the end, they have to do their job. If they're going to a location, they can't just say, well, this person committed a DWI, so we're going to take him. And this person is illegal, but I don't have any recent crimes, so we're not going to take him. That's not their job. Their job is to deport illegal immigrants, regardless of anything else. I mean, obviously, if you want to do a targeted enforcement, then you want to target people that have violent criminal records. You want the biggest bang for your buck. If you're going to do an operation, you want the biggest bang for your buck. You want to go out there and you want to get people that are committing violence or any type of crime. You want to get them and get them out because you legally can do that. But in the midst of doing that, if you come across somebody that is not committing violent crimes or hasn't committed any other crime other than coming over here, which is also kind of BS because, listen, if you want to get into it, they've all committed other crimes since being here because they're all committing tax evasion. If you really want to nitpick this stuff, we're all committing tax evasion. Let's not beat around the bush. But you guys understand my point that if you are targeting violent criminals and other people that aren't violent criminals get caught up in the mix, that's just part of that's the draw. That is the luck of the draw. You came here illegally, you took a chance, and it didn't work out. And, it might be heartbreaking to see families breaking up and stuff like that, but that's the luck of the draw. That's, the risk you took, and that's it. Your number got drawn. Tim is a little bit liberal on the issue, albeit his position, I think, is probably more mainstream. It's probably going to, if you wanted to win an election, you would probably be, trying to go the way that he's portraying this. Let's take listen to a little bit more of him.
Or having no immigration enforcement. A lot of people are just going to go, well, we don't want to be part of this. We don't want to do this. So then you have a situation where you have people coming in, you don't know who they are, because you've made immigration regulation synonymous with zip tying children and old women and rushing into high school graduations. So any enforcement, people are going to go, well, we don't want to be part of that. So some of these ICE raids, I just look at them and I go, long term, what exactly? I mean, now Palantir's gotten in on the game. Palantir's said, we're gonna help you deport people. This is the tech company's game, by the way. They're gonna talk about God. They're gonna get on the. They're gonna do what Elon did with Twitter. He goes, we call it X now, and you can say the N word. And we're gonna talk about God, and then we're gonna deport people. And while we're doing all of this, behind the scenes, we're gonna create this digital police state, and you're gonna be with it or you're not. But we're going to placate you with things we think culturally you feel comfortable with. The truly progressive position on immigration is extreme skepticism, says Alex Karp, a longtime Democrat and the data management company's chief executive. It's great that he's a longtime Democrat. You go, what's interesting about the Silicon Valley people is they're all radical libertarians. None of them actually believe in governments. None of them believe that the government should be able to tell them what to do. They're progressive maybe on social policies and economic policy to a degree. They believe they're like whatever, pro gay marriage, and there's a lot of women in leadership roles in Silicon Valley or whatever. But the reality is none of them are progressive in the sense that they believe that any entity outside of their multi-billion-dollar and soon-to-be trillion-dollar corporations can regulate them. They don't want to be regulated. They don't want anyone telling them what to do. And this has been that way for a pretty long time. And they believe that the United States government tax dollars should subsidize their efforts to build a new world that excludes anybody's right to criticize it. That's what they're doing. They're building a new world that excludes anyone's right to criticize it. And here's the thing. Now they're going, well, let's get into these ICE raids. Let's start deporting people, because what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to curry favor with the United States government. And they'll help with the war. They sold a bunch of tech to Israel. They'll be helping with Venezuela, I'm sure. Palantir software is helping U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement track undocumented immigrants and deport them faster, according to federal procurement filings and interviews with people who have knowledge of the project and who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive detail.
I mean, unfortunately,
the thing is, you're never going to get...
You're not going to be able to stop this stuff. You're not going to be able to stop the facial rec is going to be facial rec, movement rec, geofencing, geotagging of the cell phones. That's just going to be a part of life. It's not the best, but it's going to be a part of life. So, regulating it, I don't even know. Most people in Congress, they don't even know how to forward a Facebook post. Like you think that the only people that could potentially regulate it are the ones that are the leaders of the industry, and they don't want to regulate it. So we're at a point now where the tech giants are so far advanced that there's no way that the federal government will ever be able to step in and make any type of, gain any ground in regulating them. It's just not a thing. It's almost it's like be the equivalent of like a little kid like figuring out when you put the quarter behind his ear. The government is a little kid. And Palantir is putting the quarter behind his ear, and the government's just going to be amazed. They're not going to understand how it's being done, because they're they're like a child. The how far we've progressed technologically is beyond the comprehension of 99% of humanity. There's a small group of people that are geniuses, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough road. So, I mean, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I plan on doing, trying to get away from a major, as far away from a major city as possible. Trying to, get a couple of farm animals. Try to, do things myself as much as I can. Not rely on tech as much as I can. That's about all I can do. How is the future going to be? I don't know. All I can deal with is my now and my family's now. And that might be all you can do.
Get rid of however many millions of people are in America illegally. You're never going to get rid of them in a span of 4 years. So the job of any government, basically, I think, is to enforce immigration. You're going to have to deport certain people. Absolutely. You're going to deport people that have committed crimes. You're going to deport people that are here for a pretty short amount of time. But you need to have some way to do it that it isn't pure chaos. And Marjorie Taylor Greene said that on this show. The thing you don't want to do is lose the plot completely, where people think that all immigration enforcement is cruelty.
Now, that is an excellent point. Right there. Excellent point. That it does seem like that's the way that it's going. Now, again, this may be just the bubble, right? Because the bubbles are bubbles are like Venn diagrams. This is the way I look at them. So even the conservative bubble and the liberal bubble, the MAGA bubble, the libertarian bubble, all the bubbles, they kind of still have convergence. There are still areas where they overlap. No matter what area you're, no matter what bubble you're in, women comprise a part of that bubble. When they see scenes like that, no matter what bubble the woman is in, if you're taking if you have a Pareto distribution, the majority of the women are probably not going to like it very much. They're going to be disturbed by it, and there's going to be another good chunk of men that maybe don't really understand how law enforcement works, or really don't care to know how law enforcement works, or anything of that nature, that are also going to be very upset and disturbed by the images that are being put out there. So Tim has a very good point here. Very good point. We want to get people out. But we don't want to get them out in a way that we're going to be out, meaning the right is going to be out the next election cycle, because that's ultimately what could happen. And then what's going to happen again? It's going to happen again. Open up the floodgates, let them all come in, let 12 million in, deport 4 million. We're still at a net loss. So we still have to be careful of the way we play this game.
And it's all inhumane. And because you do need to have a country, you need to have a border, you need to figure out what rights you should have as a citizen. And it's harder and harder to do this if you have people living in the shadows that aren't citizens, that are in some weird legal limbo. And we have an economy, we have a culture, we have all these things where it's hard to assimilate people into these things overnight. So it causes more disruption, it radicalizes people, it pushes people to the political fringes, all the things that people supposedly don't want. So what you need to do is you need to regulate immigration. You need to figure out a way that it doesn't. It's the biggest issue everywhere in the world right now, in every single country. Every Western country, every European country, Scandinavian countries, the UK, it's all immigration. It's all of it. It's the biggest motivating factor that gets people out to the polls. And it has to be dealt with. But when you have this clumsy, kind of somewhat insane, over-the-top deportations, people are looking at this and going, and this is, what did they use, the Sabrina Carpenter song?
Yeah.
Play this. Let's see.
So now, just to get to that point, again, this is something that is, it seems like it's been a trap that's been put in place by, progressives, and the Trump administration seems to be falling into it. If they were going to ask me my personal opinion, which, I'm sure they wouldn't, even though these cities are a bastion of lawlessness and illegal crime and all these things like that, just leave them alone. Leave them alone. Only do deportations with municipalities. They will work with you. And that's it. If New York wants to, or LA or whatever wants to be a shithole, let them be a shithole. If they want illegals to run rampant there, that's fine. Guess what? Eventually, they're gonna get caught outside that city. Eventually, they're gonna get caught in another location or whatever, or or have your encounters in those cities to be extremely limited, targeted, and effective. So if you know that there's do like a big gang takedown. One shot, one deal. Get a bunch of really violent people, get them out, and that's it. And if people want to cry about that, they can cry about that. But the constant bombardment is going to bolster the progressives, and it's going to embolden them, and it's going to call out the vote. That's what it's going to do. Tim is absolutely right about that. So, if anyone was asking my opinion, which many people don't, but if they did, I would say work with the agencies, work with the towns, work with the cities and the states that are willing to work with you. Get as many of them out that as soon as they come into any local law enforcement's custody, if that municipality works with you, we will go there and take them out right away. No problem. The ones that won't work with you, don't work with them. Don't help that city anymore. Let that city experience the sanctuary city policy that that it wanted, people voted for. Let them experience that. Let them steep in that. That's it. That would be my answer.
Have you ever tried this one? Have you ever tried this one? Have you ever tried this one?
It's unserious. It's childish. It's cruel. I think one of the problems with whatever the MAGA movement is involved into is it's duped their hardcore followers so much that the only thing left now is performative cruelty.
See, this is where I disagree with Tim. And again, love Tim. But no, that's just law enforcement. That's just, it's always dirty. It's messy. That's what it is. Nobody says, I want to go. Nobody says, I did do the thing. Everyone didn't do the thing, and nobody wants to go. So what do you do? What do you do? Like in that snapshot in that clip, a couple of people being put down to the ground, some people being dealt with roughly. I mean, if people don't want to comply, then that's what's going to happen. That's just what's going to happen. It is a dirty job. Dirty job, messy job. It never looks pretty. It never looks good. It doesn't. That's law enforcement. And the majority of the public, the majority of just people in general never encounter it, never see it. And when they do, they're shocked by it. Because guess what? When somebody doesn't want to do something, it's pretty damn hard to make them do something. When somebody doesn't want to come willingly with you, and know that they're never coming back, they're probably not just going to say, all right, let's go take a ride. It's not going to happen.
And I think that, when you look at everything from the Epstein stuff to this crackdown on the deep state or whatever this is, all of this stuff that hasn't happened and hasn't materialized. And, this blind, unyielding support for everything Israel does. And this insane pivot to Venezuela. And the fact that, save for a few dissenting voices, we might have had more of a commitment in Iran. It's unserious. And I think a lot of people are looking at this and saying, well, the last thing we have left is performative cruelty. By the way, it's with the Democrats, the last thing they had left was the kind of performative, woke, liberal, whatever you want to call it, like that performative gobbledygook of just, this holding space crap where, that's the last thing that they have left. They can't deliver any material change to anyone's life. They can't get anyone health care. They can't make anyone's life better. So they're holding space. The Democrats play this game of these performative kind of word games and land acknowledgments and these weird, pseudo prayers that they say all the time. But that's the thing with MAGA. You go, wait a minute. All of this stuff seems designed to watch on television, but it doesn't seem real. You look at this Venezuela stuff, and it doesn't seem real. We'll see if this ceasefire holds. Now, they've also done good things. They've gotten rid of certain things that I think were good. I think the DEI stuff was good. I think closing the border was good. They've done some good things for sure. And a lot of people can recognize that any political movement eventually has two parts. It has the part where there's what's actually happening, and then the part, it's the show. The show. And when Pete Hegseth tweets, Franklin targets narco-terrorists, everyone knows someone with a drug problem. It's a great narrative. It's a great narrative. We're blowing up boat. People like it. It's the holidays. It's December. It's cold. People are on their couch. They're watching TV, and they're blowing up a boat. So let's watch a little bit of this to just see what we're even talking about here.
Tonight, President Trump defending striking a boat allegedly carrying drugs to the U.S. twice in early September.
I want those boats taken out, and if we have to, we'll attack on land also, just like we attack on sea. And there's very little coming in by sea. I think we've knocked out over 90% of it.
2 people initially survived, and the administration says the decision for a second strike, killing all on board, was made by Admiral Frank Bradley. Today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said even though he watched the first part of the attack live, he'd moved on to his next meeting before the second strike.
Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. We have his back, and the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. And it exploded in fire and smoke. You can't
It's
see
on
anything.
fire.
This is called the fog of war.
Right. The fog of what they loved it. Listen, it's just what we got to do as a country. It's just what we got to do. You can't get angry at it. Can't even get mad at it. Yes, it's a war crime. It's whatever. It's what we do. It's December. It's the holiday.
Yeah, I mean, as much as it's not the best look, not the best look. And again, I'm all for a lot of these things, a lot of what's going on, a lot of what's happening. I just think that when you're doing something like this, you're kind of playing into the hands of the left, because it just gives an actual narrative to run with. Like they were kind of running out of steam, and then when the boat thing started, it kind of picked them up again and gave them legs and like, again, I don't know how operations on the ground work. I don't know the ins and outs of what these operations were. It would seem to me that if you had a UAV or whatever, or some type of surveillance drone on them, you'd want to know where they were going, who they're meeting up with. You'd want to gather more intel, and maybe capture them with the product, or I don't know how that stuff works. Maybe that's impossible, and maybe the only way they could get this done was just blowing the damn thing up, and that way the drugs don't make it over to our shores. That's a possibility, but again, I don't know. That would be a question that I would have asked. What are the other options in a situation like this? Wouldn't you want to see who they're meeting up with on this side, on the U.S. side, and arrest those people? Because obviously those people are, if they're not illegal, then they're American citizens that are assisting in the drug trade. So we got to get those guys too, So I don't know. Tim has always amazing points. Guys, you really should watch his show. It's every Saturday. He comes out, I think, around 12. I usually watch it a little bit faster. If the speed of this video bothers you, let me know and I can slow it back down, because it's just a little bit faster now. It's nothing crazy. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please hit the subscribe button, hit that share button, hit the like, just hit everything. I mean, I don't know if you maybe don't hit the share, because then you have to know who you're going to share it to. But if you're going to share it, that'd be great on social media or whatever. If you want to follow me on X, 6283talk is on the X if you want to follow me there. I am John Soto. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.